Florida Focus, a college football podcast. We have a Seminole and a Gator together, trying to put aside the differences and bring you the fantastic world of college football. Thank you for joining us on this ride of hype, hope, and hilarity. My name is Brandon. I'm joined by Chris. Today, we want to talk about a couple of things. First, we want to talk about a new Patreon feature we have for our VIPs. Secondly, we want to talk about a new way you can send in your questions to the show. And the topic for today will be our top 5 returning offensive starters for Florida State and Florida. So how are you feeling about today's show, my friend?
Pretty good. I am really starting to get excited about the upcoming season, and I love to talk about offense. And so this is perfect for me.
Fantastic. I feel the same way. You probably hear it in my voice. I'm just anxious to get the season going and put some of this down. It's getting closer and closer, and all of these social media accounts are just counting down the days. It's just builds the anticipation.
Yeah, I really like it. As you know, my summers are always crazy busy, and once they're over, I can finally just focus on college football and Gator football, and that's where I'm at. I'm just now getting that itch. So this is real fun time of the year, exciting time of the year.
Awesome. Love it. All right. So one thing I want to let the fans know about is the format. And Chris, as you and I were discussing earlier, we're going to do it a little bit differently going forward. So the format is we would give our top 5. I default to you can go first. You give your 5, I'll give my 5, and we'll alternate from there. And normally at the end of that countdown, we would give the honorable mentions and then maybe some side notes. But we're going to do that a little differently. We're going to save that information, and I'll explain later what we'll do with that. So the fans for right now just need to know that we're going to hear numbers 5 through 1, and then we'll kind of explain later how to get the rest.
Yeah, you might have to stop me if I start just jumping into my honorable mentions.
That's cool.
Because I'm really excited to talk about them.
Yeah. I'll be certain to do that, and I guess you can hold me accountable. I don't forget the order who will end up doing that first. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, let's just go ahead and dive in. The top 5 returning starters, I think we should probably give a little bit of criteria before we get started real quick.
Yeah.
And I think the one parameter that we kind of held to was we want the returning offensive starters. Was there any other criteria we wanted to throw in there for the fans?
Yeah, I think it would be tough to do an offense, a defense, and a special teams. So we're going to throw anybody that has potential to score is on offense. Ooh. So I think returners can be thrown into there, and kickers as well. And then for defense, you could throw in punters, or if you're so inclined, a long snapper, if that's what you want. But we're just going to put it into 2 categories because it's our show, so deal with it.
Yep.
So if you have a chance to score the ball if maybe not specifically on offense, but if you have a chance to score the ball, you are getting lumped into this category. And if your primary goal is to stop the people from doing that, you're going to get lumped into the second one. There's no special teams category.
I love that. That's I couldn't have said it any better. It was so eloquent. It was, you use such great vocabulary. That's fantastic. Yes.
I try.
Potential to score, put points. If you do college football fantasy, which I do, and you can score points that way, then those are going to be thrown in today. So,
yeah.
Yes, awesome. So, with that being said, I will let you go first, my good friend Chris.
Yep.
With the Gators, who is your number 5 returning offensive starter this year?
All right. So after that whole spiel about trying to score points, my number 5 is actually a lineman whose chances of scoring are really low, but very important to the team scoring, and that is Martez Ivy.
Yes.
He's a O lineman. He's a senior. When he was coming out of high school, a couple of sites had him as the highest rated O lineman coming out of high school, and he's played okay. He definitely isn't a bust, but just not reaching its potential, and not that number 1 lineman. And a lot of it is because, well, the offenses have kind of just sputtered all around the last couple of years. A little bit of injuries here and there. Everybody gets injured. But this is his senior year, a chance to be that leader on the O line and really get things going offensively. And that's where it starts. It starts on the line. And he might not be the most talented and best lineman that we have, but I think he's the most important because he is a senior, and we know he has that potential to be that great lineman. So I think it all starts up front, and I think it's really going to lean on his shoulders this year.
Okay, well, you can't underestimate the value of leadership for sure.
Yeah, and especially with a new coach coming in, you're going to want a veteran guy to look towards because he's comfortable. He's what you're familiar with. And if he's the one that says, hey, I back this coach, I back this offensive coordinator, then the guys around him will say, okay, well, I back them too. Let's go forward.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so the coaching, and that's a good segue for me. I won't quite go my number 5 yet, but the coaching staff, that's a huge thing for both schools this year. You're transitioning, and you got to have the guys who are going to come with you and believe in you. So, yeah, absolutely. But Martez Ivey, I mean, that's a great pick, and I admittedly someone who doesn't follow the Gators as closely as you do, and that should be how the show works, obviously. I know who he is as an offensive lineman, and that's pretty rare that you're going to know an offensive lineman from someone else's school.
Yeah, he has moments where he's really good, just not consistent and just hasn't reached that level. But I think this is the year that he can. I really think he will.
Okay. All right. Well, good number 5. I like that. So I'll dive into my number 5, returning offensive starter for the 2018 season for Florida State, and that will be Jacques Patrick.
Jacques.
Yes, at least it sounds French, but he's from Florida.
Okay, yeah.
So, you talk about the leadership. You got a senior coming back. He has 1,400 yards in his career. He is going to be huge in short yardage situations. And quite honestly, with the offense that we have returning, that's going to be our biggest need. Mm-hmm. Yes, we have an experienced offensive line to go along those lines, but it's going to be really hard for us in red zone opportunities and when we need short yardage, especially with the defenses knowing we're going to run a lot.
Right.
And it's pretty safe to say the Gators are going to run a lot too. Is that what I'm understanding this year?
I mean, we want to do anything that's going to work, really. When you hear Mullen talk, he always like, yeah, we want to run, but I think he wants to pass a lot. I really do. But at this point, it's whatever works, and okay. We have some pretty talented running backs, so probably yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, early predictions for Patrick is, before the season even begins, he's probably somewhere in the top 20 as far as like an NFL prospect with a runner. So probably not going to have him next year, which is understandable. And I'm not so sure he doesn't have more success as a fullback in the NFL if he goes.
Yeah, he's pretty big, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll save some of this for the honorable mention later on, but there's some guys behind him. Florida State has quite a stable of running backs, but a lot of them aren't returning, so they're not going to be on my list. And Jacques Patrick is returning, so that's why I have him at number 5, and we're going to need to rely on him quite a bit.
Okay, that's a good pick. Good pick. All right, my number 4, wide receiver Tyree Cleveland. Don't worry, they're not all going to be linemen. This is a junior. He has shown some great big play capability, but again, inconsistent. Some of that is due to injury. He was the receiver that caught that quote unquote Hail Mary against Tennessee.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So he can catch the deep ball. Just trying to get him more of a possession receiver. He's our leading returner in receiving yards from last year, but he only had like 400 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns, which says a lot about our offense last year. Wow. But he's going to be that veteran receiver that we should be looking towards. He's a big receiver, physical receiver. I'd like to see him do more than just the deep ball. Do some out routes, blocking. I think he'd be real good at leading that squad because he's a junior and he's made some big plays here at Florida.
Okay.
But
Well,
he needs to get more touchdowns, though. He's only had 2 touchdowns last year, which is not good.
Gotcha. Well, one of them won you a game, so
Yeah,
there's that. So he's clutch.
Yeah.
That's obvious. But yes, I think that's kind of common in some areas of offense that have opportunity. You're going to see a lot of guys that have the potential, but just not the numbers. And I know for certain my number 3 is that. So
Yeah.
it's
it's
understandable.
His freshman year, when we were at LSU, we were at our own 1 or 2 yard line, and they threw a bomb to him. He caught it, broke a tackle, and went all the way for a touchdown. So, and he stepped up against Kentucky last year, made some big plays. Just that consistency just isn't there. Part of it, he's had some issues, I believe, high ankle sprains. But man, if he can get it together, he could be a really good talent for us.
Okay. Gotta watch out for that high ankle. That's a 2 to 4 weeker right there.
Yeah,
isn't the high ankle literally 2 inches above the actual ankle? It's like a shin bone.
It's something like that. I don't know. I'm not the medical. I just watched a couple episodes of Scrubs. That's my extent. So I don't know, but I know it's higher than the ankle.
Oh, hey,
by definition, but how much higher, I don't know.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's it's good you have the big play guy. So if he has a 90-yard touchdown and a 60 against Tennessee, then you never want to underestimate the value of a big play, especially in SEC games. So clearly he has it.
Yeah, it's there.
Excellent. Okay, so you're number 4, so I guess it'll be my turn for my number 4. And that will be James Blackman, a.k.a. the Slim Reaper.
Yeah.
I have a new name for him. Let's hope he bulked up and now he's the Trim Reaper.
Trim Reaper. And he is quarterback, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Let's
yeah,
see
he does need to eat something.
Yeah, I don't...
Anything, really. It doesn't matter. Just something.
I don't know how much weight he gained in the offseason, and the program probably would have lied about it anyway, so I don't really know how much he weighs. So, he's a great season, given everything that he had to go through. The learning curve, a true freshman, barely knowing the system that was very complicated. Still threw for 2,200 yards and 19 touchdowns. Made some freshman mistakes. In my opinion, we probably beat Louisville if he doesn't fumble late in the game. I don't know that we beat Clemson, but we're within 3 points. Some huge, we were on the road. He just didn't know how to handle the atmosphere. Yeah. So if you take experience, you add it. I think there's probably 2 more wins. You sneak out another one somewhere along the road.
Right.
And what he needs to do is to continue to beat Francois, who's coming off of injury. We don't know where Francois is injury-wise. He's continuing to improve from everything that has been reported. Moving back in, cleaning up the attitude a bit, and not that he was far off base for a long time, but it seemed different, and it feels genuine. The whole experience with him. So, to James Blackman, as I've said before, and I'll stick with, I feel like it's his job to lose, and I'm just going to assume he's a quarterback until I'm proven wrong, and that's why we need him at number 4.
Yeah, I can see him fitting that offense better. I think maybe Francois makes better decisions just because he's older, but I think just athletically, Blackman, I don't know the offense as well as you do. Just from what I know about it, I think he fits into the offense better.
Yeah, well, Francois has some, I'm going to bring this up again because it's true. He had the best running back arguably in school history behind him. So how does he do when he has to pass and make decisions on his own without that support? And with Francois, I think it was the 3rd down passing needed some work. And, the unique thing is we're in a spot where we have 2 quarterbacks that have both started 12 games. I mean,
wow.
How much more experience can you get? I don't think there's any other team that can even say that.
No.
They've both started a season, and whoever wins it, it's fair to say the other guy isn't here next year.
Yeah, true. Very, very true.
But yeah, he's my number 4, and because of the versatility of some other guys, I put some other people a little higher on the list. So that's my teaser for number 3.
Okay. Well, my number three was our as a running back, Malik Davis. He's a sophomore this year. He, as a freshman, really had to step up. Got thrown to the fire because of some of the suspensions. Some running backs like Scarlett weren't playing last year, and they threw him into the rotation, and he really burst onto the scene and really made some really exciting plays, breakout speed, explosive plays, and he's just a smaller guy, but he runs bigger than he is. And he's not afraid of contact, but he'd rather just get into the open and run, which is going to be fantastic in Mullen's offense. He's going to be. I'm not going to say he's Jeff Demps or Chris Rainey. He's not that level yet, but he's going to be that kind of guy in that offense, that speed guy that's ready to find that crease and just take it to the house. He has that ability to do that.
Okay.
And again, just end of the year, injuries got him, but he had over 500 yards rushing and a couple touchdowns. I could see that increasing, and he's got more competition this year. I think better competition this year, but I think he's going to be the front runner in my mind to at least start and get a bulk of the reps at running back.
Okay. Davis. All right. So he's more of a speed guy versus power.
Yeah, he's not afraid to hit. I've seen him on fourth and one. We sent him in there, and he's got the first down.
Oh.
He's not afraid of it, but I think he'd rather just find the open space and go, which Mullen's offense tries to find open space for the guys.
Okay.
So I think he's going to fit right in.
I like that. Yeah, especially speed on the outside. It's always beneficial. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Malik Davis, running back. All right. So my number three, and I went with versatility here. So we got our first potential scorer on special teams. That is Keith Gavin, wide receiver. So he is going to be our kick returner this year.
Right.
Kickoff, so a little bit less of a chance, but still. We need some stability there. And I think that getting set up with our offense, with the fast pace we're looking to go, you want to start, better than the 25 every time. So if we can average a little better, closer to the 30, 35, that's good. I feel like he can probably get us there because he is pretty elusive. What I also like about him is he's 6'3". So last year, numbers don't look all that great. No touchdowns. He had 27 catches, 278 yards. But he is our tallest receiver, which means now he's our biggest red zone target. He's going to replace Alden Tate, who had 10 touchdowns last year. He's a poor man's Greg Carr, if you will.
I was about to say he's going to line up in the Greg Carr slot.
Yep. So, that's going to be a big target, especially as I mentioned earlier. You have a team who is going to probably have some difficulty running in short yardage situations if we ever want to throw a fade instead of running, to kind of throw off the defense. He's probably going to be the guy.
Right.
Yep.
And I bet it's going to be good for blocking, too, on the edge. Big body like that.
So that's probably a carryover. You talk about the Jimbo Fisher days where that's where something the receivers always prided themselves on their blocking technique. And that's going to continue to be the case because you're going to have a team that we're going to run a lot, and then we'll just slip a long pass and just see if it works, And it's going to continue to make everybody creep up and make the defenses, take a step or two toward the quarterback. So, yes, that's exactly the intent. Very good observation.
Oh, yeah, that's good. And I don't know who our returners are. Honestly, I'm trying to think. Maybe Dre Massey, maybe Cleveland on kick returns, but I'm not really sure. So that's been interesting to see who lines up there. We have a lot of potential, but I don't know. I'm really following that area of practice.
Well, I might be reaching a little bit here, hoping that he is the consistent kick returner. And the reason I say that is because Florida State for so long has had trouble keeping a guy there the entire year. Whether it's a guy that, I don't really want to do this, or he muffs a punt, or he makes a bad decision to field a catch when he should have just let it go. Just have a guy there and let him learn. And right. I feel like, at least let's just cross our fingers and say, I hope that they keep a guy like Keith Gavin in that spot. Take a couple of mistakes, in stride and just roll with it. Go forward.
Right. That's cool. All right, so we're at my number 2.
Yes, sir.
And that is sophomore wide receiver Kadarius Toney. He is a guy, again, common theme here, injuries, kept him off the field a lot. But when he was on the field and he touched the ball, he was electric. He is one of those guys that the second he gets it, he wants to juke you out of your shoes. Mm. And a couple times he has done that, and it looks pretty nasty. There's one against Tennessee where he just stopped on a dime. The guy flew right in front of him, and he kept going. Now, there's a downside of that. You juke too much, and eventually you have to run upfield, or they're going to catch up to you.
Oh.
Yeah. But he's a guy that, again, I'm not saying he is Percy Harvin. Don't misquote me on this. But he's going to be the guy that fills his role.
Okay.
In that he is versatile enough to run the wildcat, take a jet sweep. If he needs to run a post or an out, he'll do that. He's even thrown the ball a couple times. He had a wildcat run, a touchdown run against Kentucky. So he is a guy, if he stays healthy, I think he can do some really big things in this offense. Because I know Mullen, their big thing when he was with Meyer back in the day was get the playmakers the ball. And he is a playmaker, for sure. Right. And he's only a sophomore, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to do specifically in this offense, because I think this is geared towards him, and it's going to showcase his talents. Now, if he's got to learn, you can't just juke everybody out. Eventually, you're going to have to cut it up and run. And but if you put him in the spots like we did in the Wildcat or jet sweeps where, it creates that avenue to run, I think it's really going to be good for him.
I like that. He sounds like a guy that could probably find the end zone on any given play.
Yeah, he has that potential. He definitely does. Yeah.
All right, Tony. I'm sorry, did you say what year he was? I don't think I caught that.
Sophomore.
Sophomore.
Yeah.
Wow. For our sake, I hope he doesn't get better.
Yeah.
At least another year. Sounds dangerous. All right, cool. Great choice. So we're on my number 2 now. And that will be wide receiver Naquan Murray.
Is that Nooney?
Nooney, yes.
Yeah.
His grandmother goes to all the games. Grandma.
Grandma.
She's a big fan. She's hilarious. So, yeah, Nooney Murray. He's... My only concern with this one is he has a minor knee injury he's nursing, and he didn't play the spring game because of it. But right. He's our leading current receiver. He has 40 catches, 600 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So the touchdowns aren't great. So he's he's a possession guy, as you can kind of tell by the numbers. Yeah. Here's what worries me about the wide receiver core. So with Naquan Murray and Keith Gavin, they have all but 6 catches on our roster.
Oh.
So that's why it's huge that he comes back, because if there's a time for his potential, it needs to be now.
Yeah.
He had a big play in the Orange Bowl. He catches the game-winning touchdown against Michigan. And he's not always he's not the guy that will find the end zone necessarily. 4 TDs last year is about, that kind of tells you right there. But key third downs, possession, but the bigger thing is leadership. We need him to really step it up. And he's had the potential all along. I'm hoping that the extra running game just sets him up for better pass opportunities to make a play.
Right.
And I don't even know necessarily that it's fully his skill why I'm having number 2. It's because he's been such a key part of the offense for the last 3 seasons.
Right.
And he has the most experience that we really need him that bad. So
yeah,
that's why I put him so high.
Right. Now, he's definitely a talented guy, and you don't undersell experience, man, especially with a new coaching staff coming in.
You nailed it. By the way, our new offensive coordinator is Walt Bell. This is a guy just like Taggart has been on, quote, air quote, losing teams so far, but we've seen the potential. Like last year, he was the coordinator at Maryland, and they were just decimated by injuries. They were on their third string quarterback by like the end of the first month. So, they lost to UCF, and the rest of their season just kind of went kaput in the Big Ten.
Right.
But, everything I'm seeing is he has a huge upside, and he's saying the right things in media days, and it sounds very exciting.
Oh, good.
So, quick note on him. But, yes, Nyquan Murray will be the guy. Hopefully, if you're looking for a pass play, he's the one you're looking for first.
Right. You need that go-to receiver. Yeah. Yep. All right. We are at my number 1. Yeah. And it is whoever is playing quarterback.
Okay.
I'm just going to guess it's Felipe Franks. Just because he's has the most experience, and he might not be start of the season, might not be into the third game. I don't know, but we're just going to roll with him. But really, whoever's running the offense is the most important because it is centered around the offense. Dan Mullen is referred to as a quarterback whisperer, as some have called him. So really, we need Felipe to really step it up. He had 1,400 yards passing. He had 54% completion, which is like 10th in the conference. 9 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Just not good.
Wow.
But I'm excited because he is surprisingly athletic and can run. But I don't think that the past offense really allowed you to see that. And one thing I took away from the spring game was they really featured his running ability. They give him the option to run. So I think if he can do that, if we can get some momentum up front on the line and he gets some confidence, I think he's a guy that can really thrive in this offense. One thing, I think his best attribute is throwing the deep ball. Pretty big arm. He can pretty accurate too. It's just that check down stuff, that mental stuff that he needs to work on. But man, if he gets both those things down, I think it's going to be dangerous. But we really need him to step up. It's his third season here, redshirt sophomore. And there's a lot going on in the last couple of years, but I really think this is going to be his year. Now, again, he might not be there after the third game, but we could be talking about a different quarterback. But I feel that he's going to at least start the season. Okay. So that's why he's the most important.
I like that reasoning. I really do. And I'm glad you mentioned the numbers because they do paint an accurate picture. But I'm also glad that you preface that by saying, this is the system you're in and all the other intangibles, if you will, that kind of went into why that happened. So, yes. Who would be the option to Felipe Franks?
Ooh, that's a tough one, too. Like, Kyle Trask is probably it because he's been here, but he hasn't had any real serious game time. And then we have our freshman Emory Jones, who's pretty talented. I personally like Jones better, but most likely Trask would be the backup.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably with you on Emory Jones just because of you can get more use out of him and longevity, develop him right away.
Yeah.
Scott Frost kind of did that with Mackenzie Milton. In fact, not to take away from the Gators here, but I live with a family at UCF. So Scott Frost gets to UCF, and he had, just abysmal quarterbacks. And so he took a true freshman, Mackenzie Milton, and just said, I'm going to start from scratch right now. He didn't even get into the third game. And so I'm not saying this will happen here. In fact, I think I like everything you said about the long ball with Felipe Franks. But I don't know. Can he make it 6 games at least? Would you give him that kind of leash, or do you think sooner?
I think the Tennessee game is. Okay. I guess that's the 4th game. We'll know by then.
Okay.
We'll see if he's got it or not, or getting it at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, I like it. Well, obviously, since you had a quarterback at number 1 and my quarterback was number 4, Not nearly as much emphasis on the quarterback play for us this year. So my number one pick, no surprise here, is Cam Akers.
Yeah. Yeah.
He set the FSU freshman rushing record. He had 1,000 yards last year and 7 touchdowns. He even caught 16 passes over a buck for 1 TD. So very versatile. By the way, he also can throw very well. He was a quarterback in high school.
Okay.
So he's a very, 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 very sneaky Heisman pick. And that's only going to happen if we win 10 or 11 games and win the ACC, neither of which are going to occur. So I wouldn't bet that. But
I don't think he's going to win the Heisman, but in that offense, I can definitely see him thriving.
Sure. I mean, I would not be surprised if he gets 1,500 yards this year.
Yeah.
This is something. He leads the top 10 running back core in the nation. If you're talking about like top 10, you could argue that Florida State is really, really high up there, and it's extremely exciting to know. My number 5 pick, Jacquez Patrick, is my number 5. You could argue the way things play out this year, he's not even the second leading rusher. It's exciting to know what's going to happen. So
right.
He's playing out that 5-star talent, baby. It is exciting to watch him run, and I'm filled with glee. I'm so happy. I'm glad he's here, and I'm glad he's a sophomore and can't leave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He is talented.
Yep.
It's one of the brighter spots in that offense last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's good. Good pick, man. Real solid pick. Once you put your quarterback at 4, I was like, oh, then it's got to be Akers then.
Good call.
I just kind of figured.
I was a little surprised you had a quarterback at number 1, but the way you described it made perfect sense. He is the most important guy in the offense. We know that already. But the way Dan Mullen tends to develop, that's why it's so huge. So
yeah.
As a reminder to our fans, if you're listening, you already know this, but we don't discuss our list beforehand, and so we kind of surprise each other sometimes.
Yeah.
It's harder to do when you've known each other as long as we have, but it does occur.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the point I promised I would stop you, and our list will go no further. What we normally do, and beyond this, is we talk about our honorable mentions and then maybe some other notes about the show. So, as I alluded to at the beginning of the episode, one thing that Chris and I are going to do from now on is we are going to put aside our honorable mentions for a very specific group, and that is our Florida Focus VIP. These are anybody who have contributed through our Patreon account. Again, just a reminder, this is patreon.com/FloridaFocuspodcast. All you have to do is contribute $1 a month. That's all we're asking. And we want to start benefiting you right away. So the way we're going to do that is once you have signed up to be a VIP, we are going to give you exclusive access to a Facebook page.
Exclusive.
And only you will be able to see who our honorable mentions and other notes are. So there's your incentive right there. Patreon.com/FloridaFocuspodcast. We will give you access to the exclusive VIP Facebook page, and as I like to say, we will let down the velvet rope for you. We will roll out the red carpet.
Oh. You got a red carpet? I only have a blue carpet.
Well, I'm just mad you beat me to that.
I know. I was waiting. The second you said it, I was like, just finish your sentence so I can jump in there.
Oh, man. So, thank you in advance for your support. It's our way of saying thank you. We want to make sure this is a partnership. We enjoy it. We enjoy bringing you content, but we want to make sure that you get a little extra, and it's our way of saying thank you. So
yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Great list on both sides, Chris. I actually learned quite a bit about your offense and some of your players, so it'll make me keep a distant eye on them. And maybe I brought some insight into Florida State as well. I'm sure you learned a few things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's a couple players that I didn't know about now that I do know about. So, yep.
Excellent. All right. Well, that is it for our top 5 offensive returning players. In our next episode, I want to start talking about it now, but Chris promised me I had to stop. We're going to talk about our top 5 defensive players that are returning. Can I go ahead and get my number 5 right now?
You cannot.
No? Okay.
But I do appreciate you asking.
Okay. Well, It's the tip of my tongue, but we'll make sure to put that out for you guys to listen. We appreciate everything you did here. As I promised, we want to tell you a new way you can contribute your questions to the show. All right. So as we've talked about, and Chris will give you the full details on how you can reach us in a second, but I want to do this real quick. We want to include you in the show. We've been saying that from day one. We love all the feedback from the Facebook page. We appreciate all the communications. Things blew up, didn't they, Chris? It just...
Yeah.
Man.
I was surprised the reaction with the jerseys. I thought that was going to get the least amount of responses. That was the most.
Crazy.
So keep that up.
Yeah. I mean, coworkers were coming up to me talking about this. I was baffled. So thank you for all the feedback and support. So there's another way I've just found out we can contribute to the show. And this way I think is a little cooler because you can actually be on the podcast itself. Who has an iPhone out there? I'm going to say 70, 80% of people, right?
My guess is, yeah.
Even if you don't, you have a recording app of some sort on your phone. All right? So all you have to do as a listener, if you're an iPhone user, which I am, so I know the most technology here, there's a voice memo app. Voice memo. You go in there, you can record stuff. You can record stuff for your shopping list or random stray thoughts. All you have to do, you record a voice memo, and we want to ask that you do some specific things. Once you record that voice memo, you're going to email us that voice memo. What's the email, Chris?
That is floridafocuspodcast@yahoo.com.
Perfect. You email that voice memo to us, and we will take specific fans and put that actual question on the show. It's that easy. Mm-hmm. So I ask you put a couple of things in that voice memo. First thing is put your first name in there. Don't include your last name. Second thing is we'd like to know what team you root for. So who's your favorite Florida team? And then thirdly, ask us your question. What are some topics we want to hear about, Chris? Maybe some off-season stuff that happened, or...
Yeah, just maybe some of our philosophies. What do we do for game days? What do we think about this player, that player, coaching moves, anything.
Yeah. So it's that easy. Go to your voice memo app, email it to the show, floridafocuspodcast@yahoo.com. We'll take a few. We'll put it on air. So,
yep.
If you have an Android phone, I'm sure there's a recording app out there that does a similar thing. So just email it to the show, and we'll be glad to put you on. But that's just one way, the email address, Chris. What are the other ways fans can get any feedback that they want our way?
Man, there are a bunch of ways. Starting off with the website, floridafocuspodcast.libsyn.com, Libsyn, Libsyn. And the most popular so far is Facebook at Florida Focus Podcast. Same thing with YouTube. Twitter at Florida Focus Pod. And, of course, we mentioned the email, floridafocuspodcast@yahoo.com. We have a Snapchat, FL Focus Pod, and, of course, our Patreon account.
Love it. All right. Well, we talked about the offensive starters, the Patreon VIP exclusive club. Look forward to more participants in that, and how to send in your questions. Is there anything else you wanted to throw in, Chris, before we sum up tonight?
No, we are glad that you guys are supporting us. Can we thank you? We want the feedback. Please let us know who you think are the most important returning players. Please feel free to tell us where we got it right and where we got it wrong. We want to know what you guys think. And if you feel so inclined, please support us on Patreon so we can get you more stuff, better stuff, and better quality stuff.
You got it. Well said. All right. Well, thank you to the fans. For now, go Noles.
Go Gators. Cool.